Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Let's go. 6:06, O'Connor and Company. A busy Wednesday morning. David Trone will no longer have a political future here in Maryland, at least not in the immediate future, as he lost in a stunning and humiliating way yesterday for the Democrat nomination. We'll give you more details on that coming up. And also at 6:35, Cal Thomas. 7:05, Corey DeAngelis, brand new book. And then at 8:35, I'm going to try it again with Rob Schneider, comedian who's in town for a concert tomorrow. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
All right, yesterday, as we've grown accustomed, outside the courthouse in Manhattan, Donald Trump showed up to deliver remarks to the media because he's not allowed to speak about the trial. So he just sort of like goes through a sheet of paper and says what other people are saying about the trial and everything. And he gave a little bit of that here. Listen.
There's never been anything like this in the history of our country. It's a scam. It's election interference at a level that's never taken place before.
That's a good point. But here's what's really interesting about yesterday's statement to the press. It wasn't what he said. It was who was with him. Standing behind him was Congressman Byron Donalds from Florida, Congressman Corey Mills from Florida, Governor Doug Burgum of North Dakota, former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson.
That's quite a group.
All flanking him. By the way, all wearing the exact same suit with the exact same red tie. It's like, did they coordinate this?
Right.
Were they in uniform? Are they the Avengers? What's happening here? And this was a unified show of solidarity and show of force. As Molly Hemingway pointed out on Special Report last night.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a Republican and you're not saying something about the Democrats' lawfare, the Democrats' use of our judicial system to punish a public official, to punish a Republican candidate, then you're not really with it in the Republican Party. And by the way, if I may venture so far as to say so, Larry Hogan last night, after winning the Republican nomination in Maryland, spoke a lot about unity and spoke a lot about working with whoever he has to work with to get things done. Well, Mr. Hogan, that includes working with Republicans who support Donald Trump. Right. And Mr. Hogan, if you're really interested in reaching across the aisle and working together with people who you might disagree with, don't just look to the left side aisle to Democrats, but what about the Republicans that you need right now? And if you do win this seat, you need to work with. I need to hear, as a Republican in Maryland, I need to hear Larry Hogan speaking out against how the Democrats are using the law as a weapon against their political enemy. Because, Mr. Hogan, let me give you a wake-up call if you haven't figured it out yet. Today it's Trump, but if you get in their way, Larry Hogan, you're going to be next. So start speaking out against it.
I can't agree with you more. And Robin Ficker, who ran against Larry Hogan, put up some really good ads reminding people of just how anti-Trump Hogan was. It was a point of pride for him. It was something he bragged about.
That's right.
And that needs to change.
Well, listen, he can be anti-Trump all he wants, but he needs to be able to work with people who aren't anti-Trump.
No.
And he seems to have no time for them.
Yeah, what I'm talking about when I say it has to change is that it shouldn't be a bragging point that your whole sort of reason for being in office is to be some sort of bulwark against Trump. You need to work with the other Republicans. You need to come together. We need to take back this country and, hold your nose.
Right.
And do what's
which,
best.
by the way, is exactly what Larry Hogan's asking us to do.
Of course, and voting for him. Yes.
I know you don't like me. I know you like Trump and you're angry at me for opposing Trump, but I'm better than the Democrats, so vote for me. Swallow your pride and vote for me. Well, Mr. Hogan, you need to swallow your pride.
Apply it the other way, yeah.
Yeah, apply it to yourself. And again, and here's the thing. When I say he can be anti-Trump, frankly, it would be incredibly freaking powerful for Larry Hogan to say, I do not like Donald Trump. I have not supported Donald Trump. I don't know if I will be able to vote for Donald Trump this November. But that aside, what the Democrats are doing to Donald Trump is un-American. It's unconstitutional, and it's wrong. It's frankly more powerful if he stays opposed to Donald Trump but still speaks the truth. Okay, so I would love to see Larry Hogan up there with Donald Trump in Manhattan. In the meantime, day before yesterday, we had J.D. Vance, senator from Ohio. We had Tommy Tuberville, senator from Alabama. Yesterday, the murderer's row of Republicans that I just laid out for you. Let's start with Speaker Johnson.
The crime that they are accusing President Trump of is falsification of business records. But I think everybody knows he is not the bookkeeper for his company. President Trump is innocent of these charges. And again, anyone with common sense can understand what is happening here. In the midst of all this nonsense and corruption, they have placed a ridiculous and unprecedented gag order on President Trump. They are overriding his constitutional right to defend himself from political smears from his harshest critics at the most important time. He is soon to be officially the nominee of one of the major parties in our country, running for president. And they have him tied up here in this ridiculous prosecution that is not about justice. It's all about politics, and everybody can see that. President Trump is leading in swing state polling. The American people see right through these politically motivated attacks. I've been in 102 cities in over half the states in the last few months. And I can tell you that no matter where we are around the country, I've been doing large events. People from all walks of life come to these events. And they are concerned about this. They are disgusted about this. They are fed up. They've had enough because they see what's happening.
They do. Byron Donalds of Florida echoed those remarks.
This is a travesty of justice. This is a misuse of the justice system. And look around New York. New York's got plenty of issues. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. You have all of NYPD's finest down here because of this travesty going on in that courtroom. Meanwhile, the citizens of New York are less safe, and the district attorney in New York is not prosecuting real crime. He's a Soros-backed DA going after his chief political rival in Donald Trump.
Where are the lies? And what Republican doesn't agree with exactly what's happening here? Why aren't they all up there doing this? It's a great sign for Republicans who have been worried that Donald Trump's been abandoned, or, you know, where's everyone speaking out? What are they? All right, you're seeing it. This is a great show of force and great media manipulation, if I may say so. The media loves being manipulated, frankly, and Republicans and Trump did a great job of it yesterday because all the cameras were on them. And I want to point out, every single thing you just heard Mike Johnson say, what Byron Donald said, what you're about to hear from Doug Burgum, Corey Mills, Vivek Ramaswamy, everything that they're saying to the media outside the courtroom, if Donald Trump said the same thing, he would be behind bars. He is the man who is the defendant here. He is the man who is innocent until proven guilty. He is the man who has constitutional protections against the state coming down on him with the full force of government to take away his freedom by locking him in jail, and he's not allowed to speak for himself. But anybody else can. Literally, he brought the Speaker of the House of Representatives to speak on his behalf, because if he said the same thing, he'd be put in jail. Is the judge going to put the Speaker of the House in jail? That's ridiculous, isn't it? Then why isn't it ridiculous that Donald Trump can't speak for himself, too? I'd love Larry Hogan to answer that question, if I may, because he won yesterday, and he represents me now as the Republican nominee, and I think he needs to come to terms with this. You are the Republican nominee. Whose side are you on here? Because by your silence, you're on the side of the Democrats using the law to persecute a political opponent. I would love for you to correct the record, Mr. Hogan. We'll give you as much time as you'd like to come on here.
Weeknights with Mark Levin, 6 to 9 p.m.
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
And, of course, we know that from the polls that have come out, even from the New York Times, Rasmussen Interactive this week, President Trump is leading all over the country. And the conclusion you could draw from that is the American people have already acquitted Donald Trump because the things that they're concerned about, inflation, crime, the border, the economy, all of these things, President Trump is leading by huge double digits versus Joe Biden. And the sooner that this scam trial can be concluded, the sooner that the president can get back to getting out, campaigning, and talking to the American people about the issues that matter to them.
North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, who continues to be on a lot of smart people's short list for running mate. He's sort of the it girl here in the sweepstakes for running mate here in Washington, D.C., at least. A lot of people that I follow in Washington are like, watch Burgum, watch Burgum. Corey Mills of Florida was also there in Manhattan.
This is nothing more than election interference at its finest. You are seeing where the weaponization of what was the Department of Justice, now the Department of Injustice, has continued to be utilized against the American people and against the President of the United States. I will tell you right now, the same way that I stand here steadfast behind our president, I know that America stands with him as well. They see this sham indictment. They see this for what it is without any actual substance whatsoever. Keep in mind, they keep actually talking about the FEC violations, but when you're utilizing personal funds or you're utilizing a trust, that is not campaign funding. There is no violation, which is why the FEC never actually even pursued this.
By the way, I just want to point out the travesty of this testimony yesterday from Michael Cohen. First of all, he secretly taped his client. That's obviously a violation of every kind of ethical protocol, let alone attorney-client privilege. But actually, as Jonathan Turley pointed out, if you actually look at the substance of what he claims he recorded, it's Cohen saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix that. And Trump going, okay, good. Okay, good. Okay. And so now, if you will believe Michael Cohen says that Trump should be jailed for following his advice. Direction, not just advice.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to do this. And Trump, okay, go ahead. Good. Sounds good.
Yeah, and
it's hardly Trump saying you do this, you do this, you do that. You know what I mean?
Trump is known to be a good delegator, and he can multitask. Yeah. They even people that were on the witness stand said he's very good at multitasking. And I know that most of these people, these politicians on the left, have never spent a day in private business or heading up a corporation as large as Trump's.
Or doing anything.
Or doing anything, frankly. Your staff of 30 is not the corporation that Trump operates. You have to do this. You have to have staff. You have to trust them. You delegate to them. You say go for it.
But this isn't even delegation, Julie. If I can just really hone down on it. This was Michael Cohen directing what was to be done and just informing Trump of what he was going to do. So I guess if you think Trump is guilty, he's guilty of not saying, wait, Michael, don't do that.
Right.
Which makes no sense. Also, the recording was recorded in January of 2017. By definition, it couldn't have been to affect the election. The election was over. The election was over. So there's that. Also, here's the other great thing. They're saying that it's a crime because he didn't use his campaign finances, his campaign funds to do this. He used his personal funds. But, of course, if he had used his campaign funds to do this, that would have been a violation of campaign rules. So literally they are setting this up where no matter what, we can find a crime.
That's right.
To go after you with. I've saved the best for last. You heard Speaker Johnson. You heard Doug Burgum. You heard Byron Donalds. You heard Corey Mills. Vivek Ramaswamy then took the microphone for a good 5 minutes, and they were good.
It's straight out of a Kafka novel. The prosecution's main strategy appears to be to bore the jurors into submission. And if you look in that direction, sadly, it may appear to actually be working. Now, I would like for anybody here in the press, anybody at home, anybody in MSNBC or the media afterwards, to clearly state what exactly is the crime that Donald Trump committed. Oh, wait. We have not heard a good answer to that question. It has been vague until today. You heard Michael Cohen's testimony, after which I would say it is less clear than ever what that crime actually was. They'll say falsifying business records. Well, let's look at who did we learn falsified business records today? Yet, hour, 2 hours, felt like it could have been 7 hours, of Michael Cohen talking about how he falsified business records. Okay, so you have a guy who has been a perjurer in the past that is now saying he falsified business records. What is the crime that Donald Trump committed? Now, it appears to be what they might allege is some sort of bookkeeping error or whatever. The real bookkeeping that we need accounting of is Judge Merchan's own family member collecting millions of dollars as a Democratic operative, using the existence of this trial as a fundraising ploy for Democrats.
And Vivek Ramaswamy was not done.
This is not the United States of America. This is some third-rate banana republic. If this were happening in another country, we would be laughing at them as a sham democracy. I am ashamed as an American citizen to sit here in a courtroom watching the former leader of the free world, and let's be honest, likely next leader of the free world, sitting with the indignity in this dingy third-rate courtroom with fourth-rate prosecutors and a fifth-rate lawyer on the stand as a witness, who actually is violating attorney-client privilege left and right. Nobody's even talking about that.
I mean, he was on fire. And listen, this was a inspiring show of support from Republicans, and hopefully it will be replicated today. Honestly, every single Republican should make the pilgrimage to Manhattan and stand behind Donald Trump and do this. And I remind you, everything you just heard from those five men, if Donald Trump had said it, this judge would put Donald Trump behind bars, and I still need that explained to me, too.
I know we're running out. We're coming up on it, but I want to just say this. You know, the people that are attacking these men for getting up and defending Donald Trump need to understand that these men see this not only as an attack and brutal attack on an unfair attack on President Trump, but it is an attack on our democracy, on the health of our country, on the health of our judicial system. So, you know, of course, they're being criticized for defending Trump.
This is an intimidation tactic to let every American know that we can be targeted
clearly,
this way.
And as Molly Hemingway pointed out, the talking points went out. They all sounded the same.
But honestly, I'm being genuine. Other than Liz Cheney, who else is attacking? I haven't seen
the media. You see Robert Costa and all of the media anchors and media personalities out there saying like, "Oh, this is unseemly." Mike Johnson shouldn't have gotten
it's unseemly for Republicans to go up and support Donald Trump. It's not unseemly for a judge to violate Donald Trump's First Amendment rights to defend himself in the public square.
That's right.
That these reporters don't find unseemly.
No, of course, because you know this. They're in the can for Biden.
Well, I know. I would love Robert Costa and Bobby Costa back when he was with National Review. Good old Bob Costa. Oh, we know Bob. Bob used to come on the show. Hey, Bob Costa, back when you were Bob. Bob, love for you to come on and explain to me how you're more concerned about Vivek Ramaswamy going up and standing by Donald Trump than you are about Donald Trump's free speech being inhibited by a judge. Thanks. You're a champion of the First Amendment. And by the way, I bet Bob Costa still listens to WMAL in the mornings. I bet he does. Because I know who you really are, Bob Costa, at heart. You know, you can take the boy from National Review, but you can't take the National Review out of the boy. So, Bob, I would love to have you come on and explain to me how it's more concerning that Vivek Ramaswamy and Congressman Corey Mills stood up and spoke their mind about this courtroom and about this trial against Donald Trump than it is for the judicial system to be used as a weapon against Joe Biden's political enemy, and for the defendant with all of his constitutional rights to not be allowed to defend himself in the public square. Bob Costa, I want you to come on here and explain to all of us why you're okay with Donald Trump not being able to come on your show and sit down for an interview with you where he can answer questions about his trial. Because that's what you're supporting now, Bobby.
That's right, Larry. And,
door is open. Come on in.
And hey, it is 6:25, and
now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:38 now on O'Connor and Company. Comment up at 7:05. Corey DeAngelis, his brand new book, The Parent Revolution, and then 8:35. Comedian Rob Schneider. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Right now, in the world outside this beautiful campus, troubled waters are slamming against some of our most fundamental principles. Support for freedom of speech is declining dangerously, especially where it should find broadest and widest acceptance.
That is Justice Samuel Alito delivering a commencement address at Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio. It's a great address, and maybe we'll have time to give you more of his speech coming up. But it shows a stark contrast, Cal Thomas, to what some college graduates are hearing about the world they're about to enter, compared to some mixed messages, let's say, from some of the more radical commencement exercises. Good morning. What say you, sir?
Good morning to you, Larry and Julie. Yes, they're not only about to enter it, they're already in it. If you've seen the video of the Columbia graduation ceremonies with some of the students, the graduates tearing up their diplomas, it reminded me of what Nancy Pelosi did after Trump's State of the Union speech. Yeah. Maybe they got it from her. But look, let me talk about something quickly that I think is extremely important this morning and could change the country forever. The Disney company is changing Tinkerbell because she's too white, too girly, and doesn't really reflect the diversity that Disney wants to project. This is a sad day for America. Oh, and also they don't like the relationship she has with Peter Pan. So I'm predicting she's going to be brought back as a transgender minority, and that's going to fix everything wrong in America.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Cal, I saw that yesterday, and they said that Tinkerbell is problematic. I love that word, problematic, because she has unrealistic sort of images for young girls.
Hold on. Doesn't Disney also produce the Avengers movies where I have to look at Thor without a shirt every single moment?
I'll give you unrealistic. They've got Gayle King, 69 years old, on the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine in a swimsuit. That's unrealistic for you.
Well, I mean.
Speaking of menopause. Sorry, Cal. That was something we talked about earlier.
Well, I don't know where to go from here. I'll be honest with you.
It came full circle.
It's all uphill from here.
Well, one other thing on the Tinkerbell thing? It's interesting. I know. Sorry, Larry. I will go past this.
You know,
Meredith brought it up.
Meredith dressed as Tinkerbell for Halloween one year.
Perfect for that. Wow. Okay. Last thing I'm going to say about Tinkerbell is in the Bibbidi Boobidi Bop little salon they have in Disney, where little girls go to dress as a princess and get their hair done. Yeah. They have men dressed as women, men in dresses.
That's not problematic.
That's not a weird image or confusing image for a young girl to see.
Yeah, and the Boy Scouts are going the same way. You know, no more boys, and then probably no more scouting. And I think I read 15% now the Scouts are girls. I mean, what in the world is happening in America? Well, back to the Trump trial, which I know you want to really talk about. Now, the thought occurred to me this morning: what if there is a hung jury? Will Bragg and company retry Trump and keep him in the courtroom for another 6 to 8 weeks? I haven't seen anybody discuss that lately. What do you think?
I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, let me ask you this. For those who are supporting this travesty going on in Manhattan, what is the legal or moral or ethical principle guiding a decision not to try him? If you're consistent, then it doesn't matter that it would be right in the middle of the campaign. Let's go. Unless the only thing that would stop them from doing that, Cal, is if their polling shows that it actually helps Trump.
That's exactly right, and that's what is happening right now. If you look at that Siena New York Times poll, he is leading by significant margins, including outside the margin of error in 5 battleground states, with the exception of Wisconsin, where he's still close. So maybe staying in the courtroom and not going on the campaign trail will work for him, like it did for Biden staying in the basement last time.
I'll be honest. I mean, listen, as much as Biden is problematic, since that's the word for this segment every time he gets in front of a microphone, you know, a lot of times when Trump has an entire news cycle to just say whatever he wants and do it and tweet whatever he wants and do whatever, you know, that ends up bringing up issues that I think most Republican voters would rather not be focused on. By sort of constraining him in the courtroom, I think that's part of what's been helping him, not only because he's a victim of lawfare and the use of the judicial system as a political weapon, but it also sort of forces him to have very focused public appearances and statements and less unforced errors, fewer unforced errors.
Yeah, well, with the exception of Wildwood, New Jersey, where he went a little off script and a little bit too much cursing. I mean, who does he think he is, Kamala Harris?
Exactly. There are new rules now, Cal. Sorry.
I'll tell you what's brilliant, though. What's brilliant, he's got this gag order, and so he steps out of the courtroom, and instead of stating his own opinions, he starts reading from the opinions of others, defending him. I think that's a brilliant thing. The judge can't say anything about that.
Or, as we saw yesterday, 2 congressmen, a governor, the Speaker of the House speaking for him. And in Cal, it highlights the fact that here the Speaker of the House can say whatever he wants about the Trump trial, but if the actual defendant, who actually has constitutional protections and should be able to defend himself in the public square, the defendant in the case is not allowed to speak publicly, or else the judge will throw him in jail.
Yeah, that's why I think a lot of people, including Democrats and including people who are not Trump fans, think this is very unfair. This could come around to get some people they like as well. And I'll just finish with this. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys, but let me leave you with this thought for the day. A dream is a wish your heart makes.
Another Peter Pan reference. I appreciate that,
Yes, that's
sir.
right.
Thank you. He's the
Cal.
Mr. Smee to my Captain Hook. He's Cal Thomas. Thanks, Cal. You know, when you work at Disneyland, as I did, Julie.
Wow.
You're taught during the training process that everybody at Disney is on a first-name basis.
Okay.
There's only 3 misters.
Oh.
Mr. Lincoln, Mr. Toad, and Mr. Smee.
Ah, interesting.
There you go. Little words of wisdom from my employee orientation at Disney.
There you go.
Many years ago. Cal Thomas has completely derailed the show. Tinkerbell, I just can't get past it. We like eating here, and a couple of updates on food. First, there's a couple of McDonald's franchises that are starting to get rid of free refills for sodas and for coffees. Apparently, that's not a corporate-wide decision. Certain franchises are doing it, but that's a trend that we would not encourage. Anyway, they don't even make money. It's not...
What can we enjoy now? I mean,
I know.
Free
it's just
refills?
one more reason not to. Although, have you noticed that the Diet Coke at McDonald's tastes better than Diet Coke anywhere else?
No, I haven't noticed that.
There's something different about the mix of syrup to club soda that they do there.
I just like a free refill.
Sure, of anything, especially tequila. Anyone's noticing? I've seen you at the Larry Wine Club, by the way. You like the free refills there, too. Moving on, though, we told you that many locations of Red Lobster are going to have to close as
This is hilarious.
Corporate owner is going through a restructuring, but it appears that it's because Americans took the all-you-can-eat shrimp deal seriously.
They said this person on Twitter was like, they took it too literally. How else are we supposed to take it?
All you can eat means all you can eat. Thank you
like a
very much.
buffet.
And sometimes even beyond. Apparently, the executives hoped that an all-you-can-eat shrimp deal would boost sales and boost business to Red Lobster. The problem is that it turned into millions of dollars in losses because, well, people kept eating the shrimp.
Okay, this is the best line from this story. It says,
Yeah.
Red Lobster's majority owner, the seafood supplier Thai Union Group, said it had lost too much money on the chain earlier this year and wanted to cut bait. I mean, can we get an award for that?
Nicely
That was
done.
nicely done.
Well
This is the
done.
thing. I blame Instagram and Reels and TikTok because these people go in and they do these, videos of them ordering 12 dishes and, eating it. So I blame social media. Like I blame social media for most things.
I hear you. I have never been to a Red Lobster in my
Neither
life.
have I.
I feel terrible. I feel like I should.
You better run.
Yeah,
You're
I think
closing.
maybe we should do a special listener event at a Red
Maybe we
Lobster.
shouldn't.
No. Well, where I live, there's not a lot of good seafood restaurants.
Are you a food snob?
Wait a second. There's great seafood restaurants where I live. That's the thing. We live in the Chesapeake Bay, all of us. There's really good seafood.
that's true.
At any place we want to go to, Red Lobster is not going to get. Red Lobster made sense back in the day when seafood was not easily transportable.
That's right.
Via overnight
I grew up
delivery.
in the Midwest. My
Right.
mother is from New England, and she banned us from Red Lobster because
Right.
she just was
she
like,
would
"It's
just
not
as
worth it."
soon you not have any
Right.
seafood,
But-
and when you eat seafood, have the good stuff when you visit the coast.
But that was, that
That-
was a while ago. Not aging
Same with
myself
me.
here,
Growing
but-
up in Michigan, it's
Yeah.
the same thing. We did not have seafood unless it was freshwater trout from the
Right,
Michigan
exactly.
lakes or something.
Exactly.
But now you can get fresh.
You can.
In fact, in the middle of the country, you can get better seafood
That's
sometimes
right.
than on the coast. They send the primo stuff to the
Right.
Midwest. There's no reason for Red Lobster anymore. Good riddance.
Yeah, it's true.
Go. All right, that's all I got for you on that. Hey, don't leave money on the table if you want to sell your. Now that you know that the better seafood is in Iowa, if you want to sell your house and move to Iowa for some really good fresh seafood, especially the blue crab, super good there. You want to make sure you maximize the profit of the sale of your home. So you want to call Sarah and Debbie Reynolds and Power Home Team. They will